Chapter number 5 Morphology of Flowering Plants. The wide range in the structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperms show such a large diversity in external structure or morphology, they are all characterized by presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. In chapter 2 and 3 we talked about classification of the plants based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variations in different parts found as adaptation of that plants to their environment. Example, adaptation to various habitats for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stems and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. Figure 5.1. The root. In majority of dicotyledonous plants, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root, which grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary root and its branches constitute taproot system, as seen in mustard plant. Figure 5.2a. In monocotyledonous plant, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system, as seen in wheat plant. Figure 5.2b. In some plants like grass, monstera and banyan tree, roots arise from the parts of the plant other than radicle and are called adventitious roots. Figure 5.2c. The main functions of the root system are absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food material and synthesis of plant growth regulators. Regions of the root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. Figure 5.3. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cells of this region are very small, thin-walled and with dense protoplasm. They divide rapidly. The cells proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in the length. This region is called as region of elongation. The cells of the region of elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to the region of elongation is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structures called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. Modification of root. Roots in some plants change their shape and structure and become modified to perform functions other than absorption and conduction of water and minerals. They are modified for support, storage of food and respiration. Figure 5.4 and 5.5. Tap roots of carrot, turnip and adventitious roots of sweet potato get swollen and store food. Can you give some more such examples? Have you ever wondered what those hanging structures are that support a banyan tree? These are called prop roots. Similarly, the stem of maize and sugarcane have supporting roots coming out of the lower nodes of the stem. These are called stilt roots. In some plants such as rhizophora growing in swampy areas, many roots come out of the ground and grow vertically upwards. Such roots are called pneumatophores, help to get oxygen for respiration. The stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the portion between two nodes. The stem bears buds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often becomes woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flowers and fruits. It conducts water and minerals and photosynthesis. Some stems perform the function of storage of food, support, protection and of vegetative propagation. Modification of stem. The stem may not always be typically like what they are expected to be. They are modified to perform different functions. Figure 5.6. Underground stems of potato, ginger, turmeric, zamindant, colocasia are modified to store food in them. They also act as organ of perennation to tide over conditions unfavorable for growth. Stem tendrils, which develop from the axillary buds, are slender and spirally coiled and help plants to climb, such as in gourds, cucumber, pumpkin, watermelon, and grapevines. Axillary buds of stems may also get modified into woody, straight, and pointed thorns. Thorns are found in many plants such as citrus, bougainvillea. They protect plants from the browsing animals. Some plants of arid regions modify their stem into flattened, opuntia, or fleshy cylindrical euphorbia structure. They contain chlorophyll and carry out photosynthesis. Underground stems of some plants such as grass and strawberry, etc., spread to new niches, and when older parts die, new plants are formed. In plants like mint and jasmine, a slender lateral branch arises from the base of the main axis and, after growing aerially for some time, arch down to touch the ground. A lateral branch with short internodes, and each node bearing a rosette of leaves and a tuft of roots, is found in aquatic plants like Pistia and Ecornia. In banana, pineapple, and chrysanthemum, the lateral branches originate from the basal and underground portion of the main stem, growing horizontally beneath the soil, and then come out obliquely upward, giving rise to leafy shoots. The leaf is lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apical meristems and are arranged in an acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole, and lamina. Figure 5.7a. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structures called stipules. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. The petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf blades to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to the leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf blade is the green, expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein, which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf base and act as channels of transport for water, minerals, and food material. The shape, margin, apex, surface, and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. Venation. The arrangement of veins and the veinlets in the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. Figure 5.7b. When the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. Figure 5.7c. Leaves of dicotyledonous plants generally possesses reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of most monocotyledons. Types of leaves. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire, or when incised, the incision do not touch the midrib. When the incisions of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axil of the petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axil of leaflets of the compound leaf. The compound leaves may be of two types. Figure 5.8. In a pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on a common axis, the rachis, which represent the midrib of the leaf, as in neem. In palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached at a common point, that is, at the tip of the petiole, as in silk cotton. Phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite, and bold. Figure 5.9. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard, and sunflower plants. In opposite type, a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other, as in Calotropis and guava plants. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whorl, it is called whorled, as in Alstonia. Modification of leaves. Leaves are often modified to perform functions other than photosynthesis. They are converted into tendrils for climbing, as in peas, or into spines for defense, as in cacti. Figure 5.10 A and B. The fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store foods. Figure 5.10 C. In some plants, such as Australian acacia, the leaves are small and short-lived. The petioles in these plants expand, become green, and synthesize food. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants, such as pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, are also modified leaves. The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages literally at the successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets converted into a flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescence are defined, racemose and cymose. In racemose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. The flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession. Figure 5.11. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in an basipetal order. Figure 5.12. The flower. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperms. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has 4 different kinds of whorls arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel, called thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while androecium and gynoecium are reproductive organs. In some flowers, like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth. When a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower having either only stamens or only carpels is unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic, radially symmetry, or zygomorphic, bilateral symmetry, when a flower can be divided into 2 equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center. It is said to be actinomorphic. Example: mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into 2 similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. Example: pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is asymmetric, irregular, if it cannot be divided into 2 similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4, or 5 respectively. Flowers with bracts, reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel, are called bracteate, and those without bracts are called ebracteate. Based on the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium in respect of the ovary on the thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. Figure 5.13. In the hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position, while other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flower is said to be superior. Example: mustard, China rose, and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary is said to be half inferior. Example: plum, rose, peach. In epigynous flowers, the margin of the thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arise above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber, and the ray florets of sunflower. Parts of the flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral whorls, that is calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx. The calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous, sepals united or polysepalous. Sepals are free. Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insects for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may be also united. Gamopetalous, petals united. Polypetalous, petals free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, bell-shaped, funnel-shaped or wheel-shaped. Estivation. The mode of arrangement of sepals and petals in floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorl is known as estivation. The main types of estivation are velvet, twisted, imbricate and vexillary. Figure 5.15. When sepals or petals in a whorl just touch one another at the margin without overlapping, as in calotropis, it is said to be velvet. If one margin of the appendage overlaps that of the next one and so on, as in China rose, ladyfinger and cotton, it is called as twisted. If the margins of the sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction, as in cassia and gulmohar, the estivation is called imbricate. In pea and bean flowers, there are 5 petals. The largest standard overlaps the 2 lateral petals' wings, which in turn overlaps the 2 smallest anterior petals' keel. This type of estivation is known as vexillary or papilionaceous. Androecium. Androecium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represent the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has 2 chambers. The pollen sacs. The pollen grains are produced in pollen sacs. A sterile stamen is called stamenoid. Stamens of a flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are called epipetalous, as in brinjal, or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth, as in the flowers of lily. The stamens in a flower may either remain free, polyandrous, or may be united in varying degrees. The stamens may be united into one bunch or one bundle, monoadelphous, as in China rose, or 2 bundles, diadelphous, as in pea, or into more than 2 bundles, polyadelphous, as in citrus. There may be variation in the length of the filaments within a flower, as in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of 1 or more carpels. A carpel consists of 3 parts, namely stigma, style and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part and on which lies the elongated tube, the style. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is the receptive surface for pollen grains. Each ovary bears 1 or more ovules attached to the flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than 1 carpel is present, they may be free, as in lotus and rose, and are called apocarpus. They are termed syncarpus when the carpels are fused, as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovary matures into fruit. Placentation. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central and free central. Figure 5.16. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary and the ovules are borne on this ridge, forming 2 rows as in pea. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial, as in China rose, tomato and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on peripheral part. Ovary is 1-chambered, but it becomes 2-chambered due to the formation of a false septum, example mustard and argemone. When the ovules are borne on central axis and the septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, the placentation is called free central. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of an ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in sunflower, marigold. The fruit. The fruit is a characteristic feature of the flowering plants. It is a mature or ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a root is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called a parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruits consist of a wall or pericarp and seeds. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into the outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp, and the inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is known as drupe. Figure 5.17. They develop from the monocarpellary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, a middle fleshy edible mesocarp, and an inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. The seed. The ovules after fertilization develop into seeds. A seed is made up of a seed coat and an embryo. The embryo is made up of a radicle and embryonal axis and one, as in wheat, maize, or two cotyledons, as in gram and pea. Structure of dicotyledonous seed. The outermost covering of a seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and the inner tegmen. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called the micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo, consisting of an embryonal axis and two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserve food materials. At the two ends of the embryonal axis are present the radicle and the plumule. Figure 5.18. In some seeds, such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food-storing tissue. In plants such as bean, gram, and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seeds, and such seeds are called non-endospermous. Structure of monocotyledonous seed. Generally, monocotyledonous seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores food. The outer covering of endosperm separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer called the aleurone layer. The embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledon known as scutellum and a short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule and the radicle are enclosed in sheets which are called coleoptile and coryza respectively. Figure 5.19. Semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Various morphological features are used to describe a flowering plant. The description has to be brief, in a simple and scientific language, and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habit, vegetative characters, root, stem, and leaves, and then floral characters, inflorescence, and flower parts. After describing various parts of a plant, a floral diagram and a floral formula are represented. The floral formula is represented by small symbols. In the floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C for corolla, P for perianth, A for androecium, and G for gynoecium. G dash for superior ovary, and above the G for inferior ovary. Fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within the bracket and adhesion by a line drawn above the symbols of the floral parts. A floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement, and the relation they have with one another. Figure 5.20. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium are drawn in successive whorls, calyx being the outermost and the gynoecium being in the center. Floral formula also shows cohesion and adhesion within parts of the whorls and in between whorls. The floral diagram and floral formula in figure 5.20 represents the mustard plant family Brassicaceae. Description of some important families. Fabaceae. This family was earlier called Papilionidae, a subfamily of family Leguminosae. It is distributed all over the world. Figure 5.21. Vegetative characters. Tree, shrubs, herbs, root with root nodules. Stem, erect or climber. Leaves, alternate, pinnately compound or simple, leaf-based, pulvinate, stipulate, Venetian, reticulate. Floral characters. Inflorescence. Racemose, flower, bisexual, zygomorphic, calyx, sepal 5, gamosepalous, imbricate estivation. Corolla, petals 5, polypetalous, papilionaceous, consisting of a posterior standard, 2 lateral wings, 2 anterior ones forming a keel enclosing stamens and pistil, maxillary estivation. Androecium, 10 didelphys, anther, dithecus. Gynoecium, ovary superior, monocarpellary, unilocular with many ovules, style single. Fruit, legume, seed, one to many, non-endospermic. Floral formula. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to the family are source of pulses, gram, arhar, sem, moong, soya bean, edible soil, soya bean, groundnut, dye, indigofera, fibers, sun hemp, fodder, sesbania, trifolium, ornamentals, lupin, sweet pea, medicine, muletti. Solanaceae. It is a large family commonly called as the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics and even temperate zones. Figure 5.22. Vegetative characters. Plants mostly herbs, shrubs and small trees. Stem herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow, hairy or glamorous. Underground stem in potato, Solanum tuberosum. Leaves alternate, simple, rarely pinnately compound, exstipulate, Venetian, reticulate. Floral characters. Inflorescence. Solitary, axillary or cymose as in Solanum. Flower, bisexual, actinomorphic, calyx, sepal 5, united, persistent, velvet, estivation. Corolla, petals 5, united, velvet, estivation. Androecium, stamens 5, epipetalous. Gynoecium, bicarpellary, syncarpous, ovary superior, bilocular, placenta, swollen with many ovules. Fruit, berry or capsule. Seeds, many endospermous. Floral formula. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to this family are source of food. Tomato, brinjal, potato, spice chili, medicine, belladonna, ashwagandha, fumigatory, tobacco, ornamentals, petunia. Liliaceae, commonly called the lily family, is a characteristic representative of monocotyledonous plants. It is distributed worldwide. Figure 5.23. Vegetative characters. Perennial herbs with underground bulbs, corms, rhizomes. Leaves, mostly basal, alternate, linear, exstipulate with parallel venation. Floral characters. Inflorescence, solitary, cymose, often umbellate cluster. Flower, bisexual, actinomorphic. Perianth, tepal sex, 3+3, often united into a tube, velvet estivation. Androecium, stamen sex, 3+3. Gynoecium, tricarpellary, syncarpous, ovary superior, trilocular with many ovules, exile placentation. Fruit, capsule, rarely berry. Seed, endospermous. Floral formula. Economic importance. Many plants belonging to this family are good ornamentals. Tulip, gloriosa, source of medicine, aloe, vegetables, asparagus and colchicine, colchicum, autumnal. Thanks for watching the video. Please do like, comment, share and subscribe.